Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 16 of my favorite 30 albums of the 60s. It's the countdown we're doing each and every day here this month in September 2023. 30 days in the month, we're each picking out our 30 favorite albums, music albums released in the 60s, any genre. I'm only doing one album per band or artist. You can certainly pick multiples if you like. It's all up to you. I'm doing just one. So we got a wide open playing field. Before we get started, I do want to speak about a couple things on a more serious note. Some of you might be familiar with Mark and Mandy, a great couple who have been loyal viewers of Sea of Tranquility for a long time. I heard from Mark yesterday. So Mandy is going through some health issues at the moment, and I did want to just say a couple things. First of all, I appreciate all your loyal views and have always had so many great things to say about the channel over the years. And Mandy, I hope you get through everything that you're going through. I know, Mark, it's a scary time for you, but I'm sure you'll both will pull through quite well. And Mandy, we're all thinking about you, and all the best to your speedy recovery and getting through everything that you're going through. You'll be in our thoughts and prayers. So take care, Mandy, and Mark, hang in there. I'm sure everything will be just fine, and with your support, she'll get through it. So thanks, and everybody, please keep Mandy in your prayers. Also, I lost a really close friend yesterday. So the last few weeks, months have not been easy, but over the last couple of days, a good friend of mine passed away from cancer at a way too young age of 53, and it's pretty devastating for me, as I've known him for over 25 years, and we've been through thick and thin in a lot of ways and situations, had a lot of great times, and we've worked together professionally on 3 separate occasions, including up until recently, and it hurts a lot, and I just want to say to treasure your friends and your loved ones, your family and friends, and don't let too much time pass before you get to reach out and spend time with them. Because sometimes in a situation like this, and unfortunately, he has been on and off ill for a while, and then COVID kind of fell into everybody's laps, and I, over the last couple of years, really haven't spent as much time with him as I would have liked to. And now that time is gone, and so is he, and just makes you think about life in general and taking things for granted. And I know all of us will get there at some point in time, but it really hurts when someone who was so full of life and has so much left to give is taken away from us like this. So just a general shout out to my buddy Grant, and we'll see you again sometime, my friend. Anyway, on to the music. Thanks for listening, everybody. Today's pick number 17 is the second studio album from this British band, the supergroup. Maybe the first ever big supergroup, at least they're labeled that way. Arguably, whether they're the first or the second, who knows. Released November 2nd, 1967. Recorded at Atlantic Studios in New York City. Produced by Felix Pappalardi for Reaction Records. I'm talking about Disraeli gears from Cream. Look at that psychedelic cover, all those pop-in colors, right? Eric Clapton on guitars and vocals, Ginger Baker on drums, Jack Bruce on bass and vocals. One of the great albums, whatever you want to call it, blues rock, hard rock albums of all time. A lot of things happening on this album. Also, I do want to mention Tom Dowd was helping out with the engineering on this particular album. A lot of things happening on this record that would influence tons of stuff to come afterwards. You talk about some of the early bands that helped shape like what we now know as hard rock and metal. Right, certainly some things on this album that are indicative of what we would hear lots of to come. This is by no means a heavy metal album or even a proto-metal album. It's just a blues rock album that rocks pretty hard in spots and utilizing some cool things, especially Mr. Clapton, utilizing some fuzz and some guitar tones and some riffs. And, of course, we know heavy music based on riffs, right? So bands like this and Blue Cheer and Jimi Hendrix Experience and the Who and the Kinks, right? All responsible, and the Yardbirds and all these bands responsible for doing all these kind of really rocking things that would kickstart a total movement that a couple of years later with bands like Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and Uriah Heep and Black Sabbath, of course, and Sir Lord Baltimore and Mountain and all those bands, right? So doing the heavier things, the heavier end of the spectrum. Well, Cream, just as responsible as any of them for kickstarting that. Of course, kicks off with Strange Brew. Again, the gritty guitar tones from Clapton on this album are great. The big beefy bass from Jack Bruce, and Ginger Baker's always busy, kind of jazzy drumming. A lot of great stuff on here. You got Strange Brew and Sunshine of Your Love kicks off the album. Both those songs so great. Sunshine of Your Love, again, one of the great riff songs of all time, up there with like Smoke on the Water and Iron Man and all those other things, right? You got World of Pain, co-written by Felix Pappalardi. You got Dance the Night Away, and then Blue Condition. Over on side 2, you got another great track. You got Tales of Brave Ulysses. More great Clapton guitar work. You got SWLABR, Swallober, right? However you want to call that, right? Another killer song. And What's Going Wrong, some cool blues there. Outside Woman Blues, just terrific. Then you got Take It Back and Mother's Lament, right? So a handful of outstanding classic Cream tracks on this album. Of course, this band would only be around for a couple of years, right? They would come, I think, first album, Fresh Cream, also really, really good. Even more bluesy. This album kind of leans more into like a blues rock psychedelic kind of turn, right? But mixed with that good early hard rock stuff. This is a really fantastic album and very much of its time, but I think it holds up really, really well. And then, of course, they would do the half live, half studio Wheels of Fire next. And then before you know it, it's time to say goodbye with the Goodbye album. That's it. Just couple years and they're gone. But man, what an impact they made. Let's see, we got any charting positions? Oh, today we have a lot. So it's interesting how this month, talking about some of these 60s albums, I think the 70s were the peak decade for the album years. I think, one of the reasons why a lot of instances when we've been kind of going through these albums this month and we're talking about it, really not a lot of charting information because we're still in the era of the singles moving into the album era, right? But with this album, Australia number 1, Canada number 10, Finland number 1, France number 2, Greece number 29, New Zealand number 4, Norway number 16, Sweden 16, UK number 5, US Billboard number 4. As far as certifications go, Australia platinum album, 70,000 units sold. UK gold, 100,000 units sold. And here in the States, another platinum album, 1 million copies sold. And do we have any info here before we kind of move on from Disraeli Gears? Yes, Strange Brew with the B-side of Tales of Brave Ulysses released as a single June 1967. And then Sunshine of Your Love with Swallober released December of 1967. So, and of course, both Strange Brew and Sunshine of Your Love, as well as occasionally Tales of Brave Ulysses, I guess, you still can hear on classic rock radio if you listen to such a thing, right? Or satellite radio that plays like classic vinyl or deep tracks and things like that. So, Swallower, what a great song that is, right? Just got the riff going in my head. I mean, the guitar work on this album is just great. What's really interesting is that, Clapton, kind of the ascension of Eric Clapton around this time period, of course, before the first Cream album, he was in John Mayall's Blues Breakers and then the Yardbirds, right? So he already was making a name for himself at that point in time in both of those bands. And then, of course, when Cream comes, the whole Clapton is God thing is already in full bloom. And Mr. Clapton was kind of like, yeah, put on the brakes with all that stuff, right? He was not digging that whatsoever. So I think for him, when Cream disbanded, he was kind of like, whew, I'm not into this whole guitar hero worship thing at all. And then, of course, jumped right into Blind Faith, and it continued there. And he was, that unfortunately, that great band was doomed from the beginning. And then, of course, history show that we talked about this before, the whole Derek and the Dominoes situation and, him getting into drugs really bad and falling for George Harrison's wife and that whole situation crazy. And then, of course, with the beginnings of his solo career, mostly throughout the 70s, he really was putting out music that was not meant to be taken in the same way as this and everything else in the 60s. He really kind of shied away from that whole thing. And I think it's not until more recent times where Clapton kind of embraced his legacy as a guitar hero. But back when he was younger, he was like, hey, let guys like Hendrix and Jeff Beck and everybody else be those guys. I don't want to do that, right? So it's kind of a shame, because I think it would have been cool to hear him continue on doing stuff in this vein throughout the 70s, but it wasn't meant to be. And I think he still put out some pretty fine music in the 70s, just very different. So anyway, there you go. There you have it. A little bit of Cream today. Cream rises to the top. Disraeli Gears is my pick today. Let us know what you think of this album, as well as your pick for today. Pick number 16. Is that what I said? Yes. And losing track of things. It's been a rough couple days. Anyway, thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also, down below, we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, as well as our merch page and our Cameo page. That's it. So if you'd like a personalized video from myself for birthday, anniversary, or you want some advice, or you just want to have me chit chat with you about music and specific bands or album recommendations, that's sort of what I've been doing so far on the Cameo thing. I'm getting all sorts of requests, so people seem to be having fun with it. So that link is below as well. And thank you everybody for your support. And again, Mandy, our thoughts go out to you, and we'll see you real soon here on Sea of Tranquility. Stay tuned in just a little bit. Martin Popoff's coming back once again, so we're going to be talking about some cool trio albums that are sort of tied together, in our opinion, whether it be musically, lineup, producers, look and feel, sound, that sort of thing. So that's coming up in just a little while. Stay tuned for that and more here on SOT. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you tomorrow morning with another one. Bye-bye.